His chances. Oh, brilliant goal! A brilliant goal! Remember the name, Wayne Rooney.
Pirlo, ancora Pirlo di tacco, tiro, gol! Grosso, gol di Grosso!
Andrea Pirlo will take, and it's volleyed, and it's in! A goal in 50 seconds from Milan. Oh, would you believe it? Paolo Maldini, the skipper, has scored it. Balotelli, Aguero! I swear you'll never see anything like this ever again.
Episode 6, Footy Fans Podcast. We're back. Andrew, Santo, and Joe here. Another Sunday evening, another week and weekend of footy action to get to. Boys, how are we doing tonight?
We're doing good. Jam-packed week and weekend, and looking forward to getting into it with all the stuff that happened. A lot of juicy games taking place, especially in Champions League.
Very juicy.
Yeah, man. Tons to look at from the English standpoint. Most exciting game was probably Liverpool-Milan.
Yeah.
If you want to start there.
Yeah, just a throwback to the historic Champions League matchup between the two when Liverpool took it from 3-0 down. This one had a story of its own, really. But Liverpool coming out with the win in the end.
Yeah, it's like back to the glory days, eh?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like back then, like, footy was just so different.
I know.
Like,
I know
just
exactly
a
what you mean.
different feeling, different vibe. Like I don't know. I don't know if it's just because like the players felt more like legendary, or like
It was,
I don't know.
It did feel like it was. I don't even know how to say this without kind of being rude to people now.
Yeah.
But it's like back then, it really did feel like it was more about just the football. Like there wasn't all this hype around like social media and like people's attention. Like every once in a while, I would hear about players doing stuff for the community, but really that's all I would hear. Now it's like, and this goes to the ride of Instagram and Facebook and all that, where it's just like a lot of that is taking the attention as well. So, but back then it was literally you're just going out to win a football match.
Mm-hmm.
Like no one's worried about
I feel like there was
host.
less. Now there's a lot more media. I feel like, and just people analyzing specific players. Then it was like, no, like the Milan players playing for their badge and Liverpool playing for their badge, and it was everything kind of left on the field.
Yeah.
Not to say it's not like that now, but there it just felt more, I don't know, raw.
yeah,
or something.
I feel like the passion was more heightened back then too.
Mm-hmm.
Like my dad's told me stories about even like local here in Windsor, how 30-40 years ago you had teams like SS Italia and like the Serb teams and Croatian teams.
Yeah.
And they were packing like 300 people along the fence lines of like Wago Park
Yeah,
and like
Wago Park,
Micmac
yeah.
Park and all these stuff. And I'm like, I've never played in front of more than 100 people before.
Yeah.
And that was like maybe Ontario Cup final.
Yeah.
Like as like the highest you can go for like our age group at that time. And it's like back then, even like 20 years ago or 15 years ago, the players were just such legendary like Hall of Fame. If they had like a football Hall of Fame, like it was just like Maldini, Nesta, Gerrard, like Dida for Milan, like just these crazy players, Shevchenko, like you can go on, right?
Yeah.
And I get we have like those caliber players now, but I feel like those guys back in the day were just looked at so differently than they are now. Kind of to what you're saying about the whole social media thing. Like now the hype is more like
individual
real.
players, right?
Like these players back then, they were like unicorns because you didn't know anything about them. You just knew them as football players.
Yeah.
And so you had to watch them. It's like because they're only on like at a certain time of the year. Like Champions League games back then were like premier games because the broadcast wasn't that good. And you didn't get to see them as much. So it's like, oh my God, Milan Liverpool playing the final. We have to watch this game.
Yeah,
Or-
because you're only going to see Gerrard there.
Yeah, pretty much. And like even like the Italian stuff, like you're only going to see Shevchenko and Inzaghi if they make a Champions League like, quarterfinal or something like that. And it's like you have to tune in and watch this game because these guys are so good right now.
Yeah.
And it's just, I think it's just, the widespread viewership now and like the widespread social media now. We have a deeper look into what these players are actually like on a day-to-day basis, and we kind of know all about them already.
Yeah.
And we see them as football players, but also like personalities.
Exactly.
Back then, it's just like you're just tuning in for like the raw, like diehard soccer. And
Exactly.
It's just, I miss that passion so much. Like we still have passion now, obviously, but
It's different.
it just can't compare. And we were also like 15 years old
Yeah.
back then too.
very
So we
true.
just we were in like the peak of our play of us playing and everything. So like
Yeah.
it just hits different.
And it does feel like, I don't know if it's actually true or if it's just a perception thing. I feel like players back then were less likely to leave their teams just for money or for like another signing. Like you would have never seen Paul Scholes leave United. You never see Gerrard leave, right? You just wouldn't see all these historic players for these clubs leave to go to somewhere else, right? They were really committed to that club. I don't know if it's just a perception thing, and it did happen back then. We just didn't see it with who we watched, but I just do get the vibe that less of that happened than it does now.
Everyone's just one good offer away from leaving.
Yeah,
You
that's a
know?
good way to put it, really.
Everyone's
just getting ready to leave, right?
Yeah.
Like maybe if it was, several years ago, you wouldn't have had big, like, who knows if Sterling would have went to Man City if this was all 20 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Big player for them, makes a massive move to the city. So who knows, really? But that's just a perception I get.
Yeah, like you did still have like the big transfers, but they were such few and far between.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you have like a dozen players now in EPL like bouncing from teams like that are sick players, or you know, every league has at least maybe 10 guys that leave almost every single year. Whereas like 15 years ago, like when Ronaldo left to go to Real Madrid, that was like the biggest signing in like 5 years. Or the biggest transfer in like 5 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Or the other Ronaldo, like the OG Ronaldo going from like Inter to Real Madrid, or like Real Madrid to Milan, like that was huge.
Yeah.
Beckham going to Real Madrid from United. Those transfers were talked about for like years and years because they were just so big.
Yeah.
And now it's like, Grealish just left. That'll be gone by next week, like that transfer talk.
Yeah.
Or like they said, like Sterling going to Man City. That's done and over with now. That's just in the past. But to the actual gameplay, Liverpool-Milan game finished 3-2 in favor of Liverpool at home. They won this game in Anfield. Own goal from Tomori early on in the 9th minute. It was a shot from Mo Salah. Innocent looking play.
Yeah.
Also, the shot was going on net. Tomori did all he could.
Yeah.
As a defender, that's what you're taught to do. Just block a play.
Yeah.
Or block the
unlucky.
shot. Unlucky. And for the most part, Liverpool was kind of dominant almost all game, I would say.
Yeah.
Like in the first half.
Yeah, they were just they're the two spells Milan had when they got their 2 goals, I think, where it was just really well worked. But yeah, it did just seem like Liverpool were really solid with their gameplay, and just came out with the win in the end.
Yeah.
Just got to go back to Henderson's ear though. That was something else.
Yeah, the home fans got kind of stunned late in the first half with Milan picking up those 2 goals going to halftime, but whatever Klopp said to his boys really rallied the troops, because Mo Salah came out 3 minutes later after halftime, tied the game up, and then like Santo said here, Jordan Henderson scoring in the 69th minute to ensure the win here for the Liverpool faithful.
Yeah, well, faithful to Liverpool, maybe not to Henderson. And it's one of the things I was thinking about where, you have your fans just giving you stick. You're playing for the club, for them, and they're just like on you, right? And like kind of goes back to the thing where, they're on the sidelines, you're on the field, and you're giving your own player a hard time while he's playing in the game. So Henderson scores, gives him the ear, and that was it.
Yeah, I gotta see that goal again from Henderson.
Yeah,
It was like on the half volley.
Yeah, half volley from
sweet.
very tough skill. Like, very
Oh,
tough.
what a rip though, eh?
Yeah. Just, look at that. Look at this. You're what are you talking about now?
Yeah, that's a hard selly for him.
Yeah. Oh, you wanted that one.
Yeah, I love that. I love the passion that's still involved in all the players.
Now everyone's
Everyone's
happy with Henderson.
everyone's
That's the
happy.
thing. Like, he's your captain too. Captain on the field. Like, you gotta support your team through the good and the bad, right? Like,
Why was he getting stink though? What was it?
I don't know. They're just giving him a hard time, like making a couple wayward passes and just, making some mistakes. So you get the moans and groans from the crowd. I'm sure you got some people just yelling at him. He just comes up with a half volley.
Yeah, what a strike. What a way to win it.
Yeah.
I was surprised it was that close, to be honest.
That match?
I did not think Milan would get 2 goals against Liverpool at Anfield, especially with Van Dijk perfectly healthy. He was shook.
Yeah. Well, they're completely snatched out of nothing, right?
Yeah.
Like they literally, there was no signs that there wasn't like much build up.
No,
to it.
they
It
just
kind of happened.
picked them apart.
But I mean, that's what Milan can do this year. Like they're playing a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
Like we touched about it last episode, how they've kind of made some changes within the organization the last couple of seasons because they were not doing good. Like they were maybe just getting Europa League. This is their first year in Champions League in almost 5 years, I think, 5-6 seasons. So they've really, kind of had to reinvest in the team and reinvest in the youth because of the whole financial crisis going on with Milan as well. So they couldn't just go out there and spend, 50 mil, 60 mil to grab a player. Like they signed Tomori last year from Chelsea. I think it was 28 million was like the transfer fee. Yeah. And that's like one of their bigger signings in the last, couple of years. Yeah. Like they couldn't even afford to keep Donnarumma. So
Yeah.
you can see how tight it is in Milan right now if they can't afford to keep, arguably the best keeper in the world.
Actually, the best goalie in the world and has the most potential.
Yeah, really. Still only like 22 years old or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was Liverpool Milan. The return leg was probably in a few months. We'll see how it shakes up in that group as the games go on. The next one to talk about would probably be United and Young Boys, with United blowing that late goal. Lingardinho strikes again. We'll talk about him later. Yeah. In a different sense, but he strikes again by sending a wayward pass back to De Gea and gets intercepted, and the ball gets tucked in the back of the net for a 2-1 victory for his Young Boys. Again, a completely different result that we thought was going to happen in this match. I think we all called like at least 3 English teams winning this week, which actually did come true, but it'd be in a different sense,
Yes. Yeah, I mean, obviously really surprised by the scoreline. Lingard, he has been really good, I think, since coming back to Man U. I think being at West Ham really gave him the chance to play more games, and I think he's just improved a lot, but, it's not the first time I've seen Man U kind of blow it early in a Champions League round. I'm sure they'll be fine in the group, but just not the way, obviously, they wanted to start with their Champions League campaign.
Yeah. I mean, it shouldn't come down to like a mistake that cost you the game. If you're Man U playing Young Boys, you should be a few goals ahead, where if something like that happens, it won't affect the actual result. So that's kind of on them.
Yeah. If you're gonna lose to Young Boys, like they have to earn it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no point.
Yeah.
No, don't give it to them.
Yeah.
But needless to say, Ronaldo just being Ronaldo again in the game, scoring, keeping up his record for scoring in every game since he's been back, and just another pretty good goal, just showing his striker instinct. Getting in behind the D, putting goalwards, and just going after the ball like he's anticipating a rebound from the goalie, and that's why he scored.
Yeah, even like the game today, there was a few times like he obviously did score again today. But even just watching some replays of shots on net, I think it was Luke Shaw had a shot from like 20 yards out, and he was the only player that rushed in after the keeper. And like he did it like from almost 10 yards away. He's almost at the penalty spot area, and like he still rushed in. And so that's like a young player's mentality, right? Like you want to get in and like be chippy and like score some scrappy goals. He's like 36 years old, and he's still thinking that way. Yeah, to try and get in and score whenever he can, because he knows, the goal might bobble the ball, and rebound might present itself, and he can score. Yeah. Quickly on this match, did you guys notice the field that they play on?
I did not. What about
it's artificial turf.
Did not even notice.
It's kind of weird, I think.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't. If I'm a pro, I don't know.
I would expect grass.
Yeah, me too. I don't know if it's because, I'm completely speculating, but they're playing in Switzerland. Maybe it's just like in the colder months, maybe the grass could freeze over or something, maybe, and that's why they use the turf. Or maybe it could be for like a weather condition. I have no idea. But I remember seeing, I think it was Young Boys and Juventus played a couple years ago in Champions League. And I noticed it for the first time, and I was like, "Is that turf?" And it's like, if you're a professional, like if you're like Ronaldo, and you're going to go play a Champions League game, you'd be like, "The hell is this? Why am I playing on this like fake ass grass?"
I mean, I do wonder. What kind of turf it was. Obviously, we're used to the turf we have here, which is
like plastic.
Like the ball runs there. You know, watching that, it didn't look like
It looked clean. It looked nice.
Yeah,
but
and it didn't look like the ball was getting away from people. It looked like the ball was like naturally like slowing down. One, it was getting touched. Whereas, you know, obviously you go play at the U field, you send a through ball, you have to go and chase the ball because it's not going to slow down.
Well, the majority of the fields here that are turf, I think, are like usually football first,
Right.
like American football first, and then it's like, oh, we'll throw soccer lines on here too and play soccer on this field as well.
Yeah.
So it's not designed for that. Clearly, this is like an actual artificially soccer designed field.
Right.
So maybe it's more cushion. Maybe underneath the turf, there's like more bounce to the ball or something, or more bounce to the ground, or
Yeah.
I don't know, because like they're making slide tackles on here and they seem fine.
Yeah.
Like they seem like they're sliding on like almost like natural grass. So maybe just the turf is made differently over there. Little fun fact: the city of Manchester has 2 teams.
They do.
One is United and one is City.
One is City.
City was also involved in Champions League this week with a thrilling match against Leipzig, finishing 6-3 in favor of the citizens.
Yeah. Very exciting game.
It was, yeah. I mean, I didn't watch the whole thing. I saw the highlights afterwards. Obviously, don't dictate how the whole match goes, but I think City, from an offensive standpoint, they obviously pumped them.
Yeah.
And I think regardless of the scoreline, because it's not like they allowed 3 goals and they had to come back and score 6.
Yeah.
I think they would have put in at least 4 or 5 against this Leipzig team, regardless of what Leipzig did in their end to score.
Right.
But I think also City looked kind of weak at the back.
Yeah.
I think this is why Pep's not going to be too happy, because it was, we scored 2 goals. Now they're just going to roll over and let us steam through them, but they just weren't doing it. And so that's why Pep's going to be a little upset. He's going to, hopefully tell them, we can't. And I think they all know this. They're obviously professionals, but, you can't just pump in goals and then you think that gives you permission to just chill,
Yeah.
Because then it's just the other team, whoever it is, just going to come back and, take advantage, which they did. So that's why they had to go back and keep scoring.
Yeah.
So they have to, whoever it is, I know Ake, he's new to the club, and like Zinchenko is still young, but they have to, have that mentality to be switched on like all the time. Yeah. I mean, City did obviously look really good going forward, but there were situations there where Pep was like really giving it to his team, making sure they're still doing their defensive responsibilities. On a side note in that, I mean, Ake did get his first Champions League goal. Kind of a sad story, though, because I guess his dad passed away a few minutes after he scored.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, so I guess his dad is like just really sick. So his brother and his mom was with him, and they were watching the game, and he scored. And I guess, after the game, obviously he found out that he passed away, and it was like minutes after he scored his first goal for Champions League. So obviously thoughts and prayers to his family. But I mean, obviously really good for him. Mid-20s, getting his first Champions League goal on his big move to City. So showing some character there, especially obviously playing through a difficult situation and how he's continuing to play because he started against Southampton as well. But really good to see him stepping up there, and also good to see Jack Grealish get a real goal.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a good one too.
Yeah, it was
That
nice.
was a big one. Just looking at like the goals that were scored in this match, like they bounced back and forth. It wasn't like City was up like 4-1 or something.
No.
And then Leipzig scored some garbage time goals. Like it was 2-1, and then 3-1, and then 3-2.
Yeah.
And then like 4-2, and then it kind of just got pumped on after that.
Yeah, like Leipzig,
Like they went back and forth.
Somewhat in the game.
Mhm.
Like there was always a threat where it's like, hey,
Yeah.
they could cause some problems if they get another one. And then thankfully City were able to just hold out the lead.
But like even the goals that were scored, they had decent build up to them. Like, they weren't just kind of out of nothing. I want to say,
Yeah.
like Leipzig, it's not like they just had a couple like fast break chances and scored these goals. They were crossing the box. They were pressing on City to try and score.
Good PK by Mahrez.
Yeah, Mars with the PK home.
Very good PK.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, they were just attacking, right? They were always giving themselves a chance to score, right? Like they would get scored on, but they were still being optimistic, and I think that's why they were so exposed in the back. But yeah, and then this
That was
sweep.
It was poor defending, like just
Yeah,
not
this is
even
bad. That guy takes like
not forever.
Yeah, we're checking the Grealish
Mm-hmm.
highlight of his goal here.
Yeah, very well worked.
Yes,
That's the kind of goal he wants to score as his first goal.
That's just vintage Grealish now. That's kind of what we expect of him.
That was well worked. Like, maybe Zinchenko and that could be sharper there, but it was just like very quick passage of play here. It was nice. Yeah, that was just well.
yeah, very.
So like a team like Leipzig, like you kind of like I think they snuck into the Champions League last year. Well, sorry, this season. Like the way that they finished. So like they obviously were put into a pretty tough group to have City in their group there. But I mean, like a team like that, they have nothing to lose
right
when it comes to these games.
Yeah,
Mhm.
just go
So
all
like
out.
obviously giving up 6, you never want to do that because clearly goal differential does count later on into the group stage, and like it could be the deciding factor
Yeah,
as far as who progresses and who doesn't. So yeah, giving up 6 and going down -3 in your goal differential obviously is not very good from your first game.
yeah,
But to show the rest of the group that they can score
yeah,
Mhm.
is pretty huge for them.
yeah.
If they can just lock it down in the back, because some of the goals that were given away, like the last goal to Gabriel Jesus was kind of like not really well earned.
Yeah,
They just kind of right time, right place. Obviously the PK that Mars converted. You take those 2 goals away that don't,
and the own goal.
and the own goal. Yeah, I mean this could be a draw.
Yeah,
Like it's good to watch because we love competitive football. Like we want to have as tight as games as we can sometimes,
right.
and like goals are fun. Goals are exciting.
Yeah,
Mhm.
But then if you actually sit down and watch the game, like you can see a disconnect between like the stat line and like the actual gameplay. But
yeah,
watching Leipzig play, I mean, they're exciting. They seem like to be like a young team. I didn't know much about them until I watched the highlights of this game and some of the recap. But I don't know, man. I love Champions League.
yeah.
Mhm.
It's always makes for exciting times. You have teams playing against teams that they don't normally play against.
Yeah. I saw posts and they were like, who needs, especially with these results, like who needs a Super League?
Yeah,
We're getting what we need in Champions League, and that would, I don't know where other people stand on it, but that would just not be good.
No,
I don't think
so
it would
either.
not be healthy.
I was pretty happy when the Super League talk got put to bed
Mm-hmm.
late last season.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't think it would have helped the game in any standpoint.
no, not at all.
Like Champions League's perfect. Like any team could get in there, but you have to like earn your right.
Mhm.
Having a privileged league of all the top clubs, one of which being Arsenal, like why do they deserve any more right than West Ham potentially next year, who's like crushing it to try and make it to this kind of stage?
Yeah. It only took 22 minutes for our first Arsenal diss of the pod.
Well, but because like Arsenal was invited just because of the status of their club, but
Right.
like
Money talks.
why? But just because they're like an historic club who has a lot of money, like that doesn't give them more right to play against top teams than potentially a West Ham or even like Leicester, who's been like just building up
Mhm.
to qualify for Champions League to get the right to play against these big clubs on this massive stage.
And like I feel like the competitiveness wouldn't be there.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's exciting for us. Like for a neutral fan, it's fun to watch PSG play Real Madrid or something, or whatever the case is. But like, I feel like the history of like what the English Premier League brings is like half of the excitement value, like watching a game, and like the fans that like believe and like this is what the team is here for. This is what we crave. Is whatever.
Mhm.
And you have all the derbies too, right?
Yeah, and I just feel like the players wouldn't get psyched up for it
yeah.
if there was a Super League.
Mm-hmm.
It'd just be like a big money clash. It's like, all right.
Yeah, and it's like, why are you gonna go balls out against like in like this game? And it just, I don't know. I just don't feel like it.
Mm-hmm.
I think everyone is really happy it didn't happen.
Yeah. No, I agree.
So no to the Super League.
No to Super League. You're hearing it now from
That is
us.
Official footy fan.
Yeah.
The pod,
and,
the pod was not
maybe
a thing last time, so we couldn't make our statement.
And I know what I think it's the owner of Real Madrid or whoever it was saying like, no, the game has to evolve to survive. And I'm like, the game is getting pretty big, especially in North America. And it's like, I don't think evolving involves making a private league of virtual clubs.
No.
I don't think
100%.
that's the answer. There's other ways to evolve than
It'll evolve his
that,
pocketbook, maybe. I know we have one game left to talk about for Champions League, but just quickly based on basically what we talked about with Leipzig and how they're a lower side and we get to watch them play, and same with Young Boys. It's almost kind of like the European Cup or like the World Cup. How we get those tournaments every 2 and 4 years, and it's like some young kid just emerges from like, I don't even know, Ghana or something, or from Switzerland, or teams that we don't see very often, or Slovakia, like a team like that. It's like a country like that.
Who, from Colombia?
Rodriguez,
Yeah.
James Rodriguez.
Yeah.
In 2012, 2016, whenever it was. Something like that. It's like you get your shining moment on the big stage, and you can like just promote yourself. It's self-promotion.
Yeah.
Like clearly you want to do what's best for your team and your country, and like I don't think anybody would just like sell out their country just to promote themselves. But you get to watch these players like get an opportunity to have everyone take a look at them, have scouts take a look at them, have agents take a look at them, managers.
Yeah.
And it's like, and obviously like again, like living in the social media age, how fast did Twitter blow up when James Rodriguez was playing for Colombia?
Yeah.
And he brought them all the way to the quarterfinal, I think it was, of the World Cup. He kind of put the team on his back, basically.
Yeah.
And even like some of the Icelandic players when Iceland was making it big.
Yeah.
These guys are playing like domestic Iceland or like in Sweden or Norway or something.
Some of them were like directors and like dentists.
Yeah. And then like,
Crazy.
a couple guys get gigs in England, and you get a guy that signs in Spain or signs in Italy or something.
Yeah.
No, I just love to see that. And like again, like who never knows, this Christopher Nkunku guy from Leipzig puts up a hat trick against City.
Yeah.
Like 3 stellar goals.
Yeah, so who knows?
I mean,
who knows what's going to happen
This
next?
kid could be on Bayern in 2 years, or be on Dortmund in 2 years, or be on Barcelona if they can afford him in 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Never know what can happen, right? When you just put yourself in those good situations.
No, I love it.
And it's kind of similar to last Euro Cup with Italy. Chiesa, right? Like, how much did Instagram blow up with just Chiesa memes and Chiesa posts, right? So you just see all these young guys just getting to play on a big stage and showing what they got.
Last game, my Chelsea boys leaving it late against Zenit. It's kind of a back and forth match. Not much to talk about here, really. Zenit, they held pretty tough. They're not new to Champions League.
No, they're always kind of right?
Yeah, I think in Russia, top 2 clubs might make it.
Yeah, in Russia,
I'm not totally sure. I think it might be top 2. So, Zenit being a big mainstay in the Russian league, usually make it. So they are accustomed to playing Champions League matches. Completely different style of play as well.
Yeah,
like when you have to go up against a Chelsea, instead of some other Russian side. But they held pretty tough until Lukaku broke the deadlock late in the game.
Yep. Honestly, if it wasn't for Ronaldo, Lukaku would be getting so much attention right now. But he is obviously still getting a lot of attention. But you have Ronaldo and Lukaku just making these moves this year, and they're just performing for their team.
Yeah, I mean, them, like I said before, already being in the EPL before. It's a lot. It's still a tough league, but it's a lot less intimidating when you've already been there. You kind of know what to expect. You know how to adjust yourself. Whereas, Werner's been struggling because he's not accustomed to it. So it takes him getting used to, but once you get over the hump of getting used to the defending there and how fast paced the game is.
It's kind of like you got nothing to prove, right? Obviously Lukaku's been successful there before. Ronaldo, obviously been successful there before. Yeah. So they proved they can handle the English game. It's just they just got to perform on their campaigns back, and obviously they've been doing that so far. So hopefully they can continue that.
So that wraps up Champions League discussion. The other 2 clubs are involved.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
Can we just talk about the 6 red cards?
Oh my god!
Over the two days of Champions League, there were 6 red cards.
Yeah, and then the one game too. What was the one game that had four PKs in the first half? You guys see that one too?
No, what was that?
Oh man, boy, now you're putting me on the spot.
We'll
Just-
go
I'll
check
I'll
that
find
out.
it. I'll
So-
find it. But I was
In
gonna
Champions
say,
League, there was 4 PKs in the first half
yeah,
in one game.
yeah. You guys didn't see that?
No, I didn't.
Okay, well,
I
we'll talk
watched
about it.
that.
Well, I'll find it after. I'll do my research and maybe we'll talk about it at the end of the show.
Crazy.
But I was just gonna say Leicester and West Ham in Europa League. We'll just touch on it real quick. West Ham beats Dinamo Zagreb 2-0, and Leicester puts up a 2-2 draw against Napoli with picking up a red card.
With
So-
picking up a red card in Europa League as well.
yeah. So another there's tons of Europa League red cards too. There's 3 here that I see.
Yeah.
I mean that's a good result. I mean West Ham I think maybe expected to win this game against Zagreb. I mean they're the Croatian champions, so they're obviously a class side.
Yep.
But I mean West Ham's just playing really really well this season.
Yeah.
And Leicester to where is this game played at?
King Power.
Where do you see that?
Mhm.
It's at the bottom, right there.
Yeah.
King Power.
Team on the left is always the home team.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, so Leicester, they're playing at home against Napoli, but to pick up a red card, actually it's late in the game anyway, so it doesn't really matter on the final result. But Napoli, they're pretty class too.
Yeah.
Like, they just missed out on Champions League last year, I think by 1 point. So they're nothing to slouch at.
No.
So that's the English contingent for the European Cups for the past week. Moving on to EPL.
Yeah, here we go. Packed weekend in the EPL.
Oh hell yeah!
Lots to talk about.
Obviously some huge games going on this
Yep.
weekend, capped off with the London derby between Chelsea and Spurs. Quickly though, did you guys catch this game? Brentford and Wolves?
Didn't catch the whole game. Know what happens. More to talk about with VAR on this.
Yeah, so I just made a note about this game. Brentford winning 2-0, but actually this is my first time watching Brentford play all season.
Yeah.
And I know they got that surprise result against Arsenal week 1. But then after watching this game, I don't think that result was actually much of a surprise.
Yeah.
I mean, they played pretty good, man.
I mean, what I said week 1. Most of the time, the teams that get promoted end up. Now it's not even a surprise. I don't know why people are so surprised, but they come up and they just crush it. These newly promoted teams have like no fear anymore.
Well, you got Norwich City at the bottom table.
But weren't they in the EPL last year?
No, I think they just came back in this year.
Yeah. But I mean, there's always. I mean, not every single team.
They were up, they went down, then came back up.
Okay. But I mean, there's always that one team that gets promoted.
Yeah.
You know, and they just who was it last year?
Brighton,
No, they had the red crest with the 2 swords. Sheffield. When they got promoted, they were crushing it too. There's always that one team that gets promoted and just goes against the big 6 or whoever it might be, and just like, oh no, we're gonna give you a little battle here.
Yeah.
No, they are sweet. They have those 2 guys up front that really gel well together.
Yeah, no, they played really good, and I just want to touch on this game because it was another VAR situation that kind of bugs me because VAR is there to get the play right.
Yeah.
Correct? That's
To get whatever was called on the field, right?
exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Handballs on the field, offside on the field, red card on the field, penalty spot on the field, penalty shot. I mean, that's what VAR's for.
Yeah.
It bothers me when a goal gets disallowed because on the field it was deemed to be offside.
Yep.
They do the VAR check. This is for Brentford, by the way. Brentford scored a goal. It's deemed offside. They do the check. The player's clearly onside.
Mhm.
Like, it could not be more onside. But during the VAR check, they found that the ball actually struck his arm. He pots the ball in the back of the net, has a nice little celebration. Goal gets disallowed because of VAR on a handball call.
Yeah.
The VAR check wasn't there for handball.
Yeah.
I mean, but in reality, if it was like a very obvious handball, they would have caught it and asked the ref to
But
check
in
it.
this situation, it wasn't, according to what you guys are saying.
I
with
know,
the new
but that's the other
handball rule.
thing.
Yeah,
where
just
that
talk
new
about
handball rule anyway is like crazy.
This handball rule, honestly, has got. I can't.
It got worse over the last 3 years.
It's
It's more
honestly-
confusing.
So for the listeners, just kind of briefly
Yeah,
summarize
so-
what it was.
So right now, how the rule is supposed to go, I mean, whether it actually gets followed, because I see things contradict all the time, but how it's actually supposed to go. When you're defending, if your hands or your arm is in a natural position, and the ball hits your hand, you're fine. So the whole reasoning behind that is they didn't want defenders going in and defending with their hands behind their back. So they wanted defenders to go in, keep your arms at your side, and if the ball hits your hand, you're still okay. So your arm just has to be in a natural position. Kind of back to the Man U game where you have a situation with Luke Shaw. He's lunging in to block a cross. I do get the sense where his arm's outstretched, but when you're reaching with your leg, it's natural for your arm to be outstretched. So the ball hits his hand, gets PK. I can understand that, but I'm fine with the defensive end where if your arm's in a natural position, ball hits your hand, you're still okay. Going forward is where I have the biggest problem with the handball rule, and I still don't understand why they haven't changed it, where if you're attacking, if it hits any part of your hand, your arms could be behind your back and the ball could hit your shoulder. If you score directly off that play, it's still a handball, which I have a lot of big issues with because, for example, last season with Wilson going in, he's on a breakaway, goes to take a shot, deflects off the goalie, and Wilson's literally a foot away from the play. So he goes and takes a shot, jumps as he's taking the shot to avoid running into the goalie. The ball pops up and Callum Wilson puts his entire body together, puts his hands inward. So his hands are literally in front of him, and he leans to the side to avoid it hitting his hand, and it hits his shoulder, and it drops to him, and he goes and taps it into an open net, and it got called back for a handball. And it's if you're a striker, what are you supposed to do? Nowadays, you have to go and attack with your hands behind your back. So I don't know why it's not done for people going forward, because your hand has to be in a natural position when you attack. It goes back to City in Champions League when Laporte went up for a header. And obviously, when you jump up for a header, your hands go to your side. So it grazed off a defender. It hit the bottom of his arm. Jesus put it in, and it got disallowed because it grazed his arm. So, yeah, going forward, if it hits any part of your arm and you score off it, it gets called back, which I think they honestly need to change.
How do you feel about the discrepancy of a goal scoring opportunity or a penalty, in the penalty area? Whether you're defending or attacking, as opposed to in the middle of the field. Do you think the call should be made the same on either end? Do you think, what I'm saying, the situation you talk about, you go for a header, the ball gets deflect off your head, goes off your arm, it goes to VAR if it's in a penalty spot area. But if that happens at midfield, it either gets looked off or doesn't get even looked at for a handball opportunity.
Because it's not affecting a goal scoring opportunity.
No,
but I mean, they don't have to look at it.
But the thing is, it's that call that is being avoided being made in the middle of the field is the exact same thing that's happening in the box. So how do you not?
Those handballs would not be called handballs in the middle of the field, which is what's frustrating.
But that's what's frustrating.
They're not handballs. Why do you have to complicate this matter?
I know. It's if they score off this with the handball, it's that would not be a handball in the middle of the field, and it would not be a PK. Why is it a handball if they score off it?
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
You're not going to give a PK to a defender for that, right?
And that's going back to when I made my first outrage about VAR is there's just no consistency in the calls. And that's all we want as fans. I want to be able to look at a play that happens at midfield, or that happens when my team's attacking, or what happens when my team's defending the box. Yeah. And know exactly what's happening.
Yeah. Well, it's not really a VAR issue. It's this new handball rule issue.
Well, it's all being made too. It's giving the referee on the field and the referee behind the scenes the power to change the entire game. It's giving them power to change the rules based on what they want to do that day.
Yeah.
Oh, I had some nice eggs this morning. Okay, I'm making this rule. It's literally just whatever the hell they want to do.
Yeah.
And that's what bugs me, because then it just completely takes away the actual integrity of the game. Because now you're just leading up to a referee who's sitting behind a computer screen.
Yeah. Back to your point,
drives me nuts.
It'd be really nice to know anytime you see something, what the call is going to be. I mean, they have the rules there, but it goes back to the City Liverpool game 2 seasons ago that we've touched on,
which was the craziest thing I've still ever seen in my life.
That involved, I think, every single possible VAR situation,
and they got all of them wrong.
And literally every single one was wrong.
It was first it was definitely a PK, and VAR looked at it. They're oh no, it's not a PK. And then they went and scored off it, and I'm pretty sure the phase of play didn't change, and it was a handball that led to a goal scoring opportunity. They scored, and that didn't get called back. So very confusing. It's you have VAR specifically for those situations so teams don't get screwed over. and it's just causing more confusion because it's missing those big gaps in the game.
And that's why I make the argument: are we better off with or without VAR?
We're better off, but it's a lot more frustrating because it's like most people watching it are like, why are they not overturning it? It's fixing a lot of decisions, but it's amplifying the fact that they're getting such obvious things wrong, which is, I think, what's frustrating. So it's like building it up more, even though they are fixing a lot of things. It's just there's some stuff. It's like, who's looking at VAR right now? Like what are they looking at right now?
I mean, I am a big VAR fan. I think it's fixed a lot of things. I just wish they would fix the attacking handball rule. Like, I feel like that needs to be fixed.
I wonder if some referees are going to get like audited based on VAR overturns and stuff like that. Like how many times?
Like how many times they miss something?
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Because like that would be a good idea. I mean, it puts a lot of pressure on the referees, but like the referees are never held accountable for anything too, which kind of drives me nuts. Like Mike Dean is like the biggest prick in the world, I think. I can't stand Mike Dean.
Yeah.
But like, there's been so many times where he misses a VAR call or it goes to the video referee and like he overturns the decision, and it's like you can only screw up so many times before like someone's got to look at you and say, okay, you don't get these big matches anymore.
Yeah.
Like you're not getting Liverpool Chelsea because like I don't want you to fuck this up.
Yeah.
Like,
and,
I don't know.
I mean, I think in the past, they were probably they would review the game film and see all the mistakes they missed. It's just interesting now how we get to see when all the big calls are missed. But it is nice where, you know, you have situations where, you know, it's like, okay, like we know VAR is going to overturn this, you know, it's clearly offside. So those situations are good.
Yeah, the ones that are cut and dry.
Yeah.
Like, sure, they spend 30 seconds on it.
Yeah.
But it's the ones that are like 5-minute VAR review, and it's like, what are you doing?
And I'm telling you, they all come back to the handball. It's always a handball situation that's causing all the confusion.
A lot of time, yeah. I mean, the offside one too kind of pisses me off, but
well, you know, it goes back to the City Southampton game. That was kind of a key situation for me where VAR was really good.
Let's go into that game right now. Actually.
Yeah. So frustrating game for City. You know, 0-0 against Southampton, just could not find a way through.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some people might argue they had a Champions League game midweek, but on the other hand, they had tons of players playing that weren't in the Champions League game, so they really don't have an excuse. Bring on Kevin De Bruyne and still can't make anything happen, so they finished with a tie. But yeah, the Walker foul. So, you know, the Southampton's going in on goal. Walker comes in, sticks the tackle, and gets called on a PK and a red card, which I thought was like,
that's a little egregious.
That was really harsh.
Yeah.
But like, you could argue he was in on goal and Walker just came in. But it didn't look like bad, but it looked kind of like a foul. But then you go to review it in VAR and you see Walker's going in. Before he makes contact, the Southampton guy's already on his way down, kind of like he's expecting contact from Walker.
Mm-hmm.
So Walker didn't really foul him. It's kind of like he went in for the tackle. Southampton guy is already going down, and Walker just kind of runs into him because he's on his way down. So
it's almost like the foul was the other way.
That's the whole thing, right? The guys, imagine if you're running full speed and all of a sudden I slow down and I start falling, you're gonna hit me, right?
Yeah.
So it got overturned, red card overturned, and that's what I kind of liked. Where, you know, especially if Italy was playing, can you imagine if Italy's playing the Euro Cup?
Oh, I'd lose my mind.
Yeah, exactly. So,
I mean, at first I was like, how would that get overturned? Then looking at it again, I'm like, you know, if that was in the middle of the field and the ref saw what happened, he would have said, oh, he was looking for it and he went into Walker. But Walker's foot was like over the ball and he was like kind of like near the ball, so it wasn't really a foul, even though he made contact.
Right.
So, because I've seen those in the field where someone does go over easily and like runs into the person. So I can understand why it was overturned.
I think the commentators were making a note about it, just saying how Walker's body position, he kind of did like shield. It's almost like he tried to shield the ball by stepping in front of the Southampton player. I keep forgetting the guy's name. I keep calling him Southampton player, but he cut it in front of him. And then the follow through of the Southampton guy, the attacker, just kind of went through Walker.
Yeah.
But it's like he did make that. Like if if he didn't go to ground and Walker leaned in front of him, and then the Southampton guy went down, then maybe that could have been a PK.
Yeah.
But the fact that Southampton guy went through Walker, and I think that kind of changed the opinion of the referees.
You even saw how Walker went over, like, because he had control, obviously, of his body, and his foot was really over the ball, but when he collided with the Southampton guy, he went like over his back, so the Southampton guy hit him at his like waist level. So it's like, how is the Southampton guy already that far down without having any contact on Walker?
Yeah.
In real time, in the referee's defense, I know we're just trying to trip referees, but in his defense, I don't know if his positioning on the field was like with the clear view of it. Like, obviously, he made the call, so he must have seen what happened. But like your body can like shield part of the ball and where the play's at, and you don't see every single aspect of the foul.
Yeah.
But in real time, like that quick, like he fired it PK, red card right away. Like he was already grabbing for the card by the time he got over there to dish out the penalty.
Yeah.
But like you said, this is a case where VAR does get involved, and yes, I don't think it was a PK. I think it's unanimous around the table. That would have turned the game on its head.
Yeah,
clearly.
red card. Like,
that would have been huge.
Yeah,
with 10 minutes left to go in the game.
Yeah.
It was. This is another game too where it's obviously 0-0, but the chances weren't abysmal from either side.
No.
Like there was quality chances in this game.
Yeah,
and both keepers kind of stood on their heads. One thing I noticed is that in the first half there, every attack, except for I think 2 that turned into a scoring chance, came through the left side with Grealish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We were talking about how just last episode with Liverpool, they made a lot of attacks through the right-hand side, like through Mo Salah mostly.
Yeah.
I feel like the ball right now is just getting flooded through Grealish. When De Bruyne's not in the field and he doesn't bring that creativity in that ball position from the middle, I think the play just gets stretched out wide, and Grealish is now the guy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like they give it to him. Clearly, his time at Villa, he was able to like really put that on display. But I think he's getting heavily involved in all their scoring opportunities, and we expected that.
Yeah.
But I didn't think it was going to happen this quick.
I know.
No.
They're just like he's the guy.
He's put on a show right now for this team.
Yeah, and he's really just integrating himself well. But I think they weren't getting him in good enough positions during this game, and they would get in the final third, and literally like, just nothing would happen.
Mm-hmm.
They
a lot of it was like through a cross, like just like a like a through ball cross almost through the middle.
Yeah,
like a direct kind of angled cross.
Yeah,
that kind of fell to nothing.
Yeah, and like credit to Southampton for keeping it locked down, but City had one chance on net all game.
Mm-hmm.
You have that quality on the field, and you got one chance. Like
they need a striker,
but so maybe they're feeling that number 9 missing, but. I mean, they did have a chance to win. I mean, you could blame Sterling because Foden had the header. Goalie left a rebound. Foden went in to go get it, and if Foden would have scored, it would have counted. Yeah. Sterling instead comes in. He was, his foot was offside, so it got called back. You can say like, oh, why did Sterling get the rebound? When you're in a live game, it's really hard to be like, oh, it's a rebound, but it might be offside, so I'm not going to go look at the tap.
Mm-hmm. No, that's not going through your mind.
To be fair, maybe, you see Foden going in there. No one else is around you. Could have let him have it. Maybe. I think now it might be kind of a trigger point where players might start doing it more just in case they're offside because there's no way Foden's going to be offside in that play. So it might start happening more, which actually is going to be interesting to see.
Well, I'm not even going to get into it. What if Foden headed it, but his foot wasn't in line with the ball?
He's touching the ball. I'm pretty sure it's fine. Pretty sure it's fine.
Who knows? I don't even know the rules anymore.
I know what you're talking about.
He's the one. Like he's the one in possession of the ball. So, you'd hope.
Yeah. Get out of here with that.
Who knows?
You're
gonna stir the pot. I wonder if that's written.
Next thing you know, VAR is out next season.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys knew, but in Manchester, there's 2 cities.
There
are 2 teams.
There's 2 cities.
There's 2 cities.
There's 2 cities in Manchester United.
And they are red.
If you would have heard earlier what we talked about, you would have got that. The other Manchester club in Manchester
City.
is Manchester United.
Yes.
And they came away 2-1 victors versus West Ham. Huge game with the way that these both sides have been playing all season. Probably, I mean, behind Chelsea and Tottenham, it's probably the second most amplified game or second most talked about game of the weekend here.
Yep.
Ronaldo again, starting off the game with the goal.
Yeah, just I'm really looking forward to see if he wins the Golden Boot. I think he's gonna be disappointed if he doesn't, unless he gets like 45 goals and Lukaku gets like 46. And
Jesus,
it's like all right, like what else are we gonna
what
do?
else could I do?
Yeah. But I honestly think he's gonna be really disappointed if he doesn't finish with the Golden Boot and actually takes Man U. You know, I don't think he's expecting them to win. Maybe, I mean, obviously, if you're a competitor, you think your team has a chance to win. But yeah, he's just obviously performing week in and week out, and it's great to see.
Did we expect this? I mean, I know who we're talking about, but did we expect this? I mean, this is crazy what he's doing.
Yeah,
But did we think he was gonna generate this much, like, actual production this early?
honestly, I am a little surprised that he has scored in every single game.
Yeah, that in itself is crazy.
Yeah. We'll see if this continues. If we get like 10 games in and he's going for the record of amount of games he scored in a row and breaks Vardy's record, like, you know, I think like it's already going to stir up the argument about who's the GOAT right now. But I wouldn't have guessed, honestly, you know, 4 games in a row.
I thought he was going to do like well. I know we're still kind of early, but we'll see if he gets that like 30, 40 goal mark. You know, I think good.
You're talking all competitions or just
Yeah.
Premier League?
All competition.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, if he gets 40 goals in the Premier
I was
League,
gonna say.
then yeah, I don't know. But no, all comps, I could see that.
Now, I think I picked Harry Kane at the start of the pod to be the Golden Boot winner.
Yeah.
I
don't
think
think he
if
scored
he
one yet.
if he was at City,
Yeah.
like I said, if he was at City, then probably.
Just like the chances from
Yeah,
the midfielders, like providing him the ball at City,
Yeah.
like it's just
Salah,
so much further. But like,
Salah's doing. He's top right now. Salah's doing. I know he's good, but he's crushing it right now.
oh yeah,
Top 5 goals.
not surprised.
We'll see.
So Ronaldo did tie this game up. Ben Rama scored for West Ham, deflected goal, came from nothing.
Yeah.
United had most control of the game up until that point, and then Ronaldo, he made a nice run, nice pass from Bruno Fernandes. I feel like these two are going to link up a lot this season.
Yep.
Not just because of obviously the Portuguese connection, but just because they're both class players. And I don't know, like if Ronaldo can make the runs like that he's making, it's almost like they do have a striker in the side.
Yeah.
Because is he lining up as like a number 9?
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I mean,
Straight
obviously
down
with
the
his playing style, he can kind of have free roam
Yeah.
Mhm.
to go anywhere he wants. But he makes darting runs like a striker would.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Plus, he has the ability to play on the wing, which is what he's done all his career.
Yeah.
So he's a really dynamic player in that sense. I wonder if United was to bring on a player that would be more of like a central attacking forward, if that would help them or hurt them in the January transfer window,
Yeah.
because that would allow Ronaldo to stay on the wing more and contribute that way, as well as feed a pass to somebody looking in the middle for a header or for a tap and goal across the net.
Yeah. We'll see what they decide there.
Tons of options, obviously,
Yeah.
but whatever they're doing now is working.
Yeah. Can't argue with that.
Lingardinho strikes again.
Mhm.
This time in a
Very-
way different,
Very positive sense.
way different sense. Comes on as a sub, I think, with about 10 minutes left, 10, 15 minutes left, and just scores a goal
Screamer.
worthy of any match-winning goal.
Yeah. Just top corner cuts in.
Yeah, cuts in from the left side, swings at far post, hits the RB button there, and curls it to the top corner.
I did like the no celly.
Yeah,
class.
respect. Spent 16 games at West Ham last season on loan from United. Potted 9 goals in there for the Hammers. So when he sellied like that, just kind of putting his hands up in the air and
Yeah.
giving to the crowd. Like when he came on
They
as a
love
sub,
him.
they were cheering for him.
Yeah, ovation, right?
They love him.
He was obviously a huge part of what boosted them into the Europa League last season and almost pushed them into Champions League, which is crazy to say for a side like West Ham.
Yep.
As just a couple seasons ago, they were almost in relegation battle. So whatever they've done there, David Moyes and the boys, whatever they've done to get them playing the style of play that they're playing and producing that they have, it's working out for them well. Kind of unfortunate Mikel Antonio didn't play for this match. He picked up a red card late last week.
Yeah.
In a match against Southampton, I believe it was.
Yeah, again,
So-
it's good to see him play.
Man, he's sick.
Yeah.
Like, if he was playing this game, it would have been a very different match, I think.
Yeah, he would have
Because
given the defenders tons of problems.
Yeah, they had nobody.
Yeah.
I think they might have played like a false nine this game because I didn't even notice like a real, like last man kind of like attacking player or a player that was playing on the back line against United, and that's kind of what he does.
Yeah.
Just a big body up front. I talked about him a few episodes ago as kind of like my breakout player and how he had the opportunity to play for England, but it chose to play for his home nation of Jamaica when it comes to international. So
Yeah.
good on him. And just a quality player, man.
Yeah.
Like he's real sweet.
Yeah, he'll always show up, especially in the big games, and score against big clubs. And it's just like, all right, this guy's just doing it again, giving defenders problems.
So that goal from Lingard was in the 89th minute.
And then a lot happened after that.
By that point, I thought this game was in the bag. I didn't know until actually even Joe sent me a note about what happened later on in the game because I turned the game off. I was like, oh, this is a game. It's done. Whatever. And then VAR gets involved again.
VAR gets involved again.
Yeah.
This time I think we're all in agreement.
Yep.
PK?
Mostly agreement. It's still just for me where you don't want defenders defending with their hands behind their back. Luke Shaw's hand was like pretty outstretched there.
Mm-hmm. Similar to what Ben Davies did
Yeah.
last week.
Almost the exact same.
Yeah. So, I mean, Luke Shaw was lunging in pretty hard there. I mean, if I'm running and I go and lunge in, your hand has to be outstretched or you're not going to lunge as far and you're going to fall over. Still can't really argue with it. I think it's just one of those situations where it kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Because,
I mean, you could. I'm just thinking, like, you could be more conscious that you're in the box and, like, tuck your hand a bit closer to your body.
Exactly.
There, he was just not even look like aware of where his hand was.
Yeah.
And so you have to call it.
So mostly a PK for me. But
I mean, when
I can understand why Luke Shaw was arguing with the ref. Like, I don't think it was like one of those situations where it's like, oh yeah, like definitely a PK, and I'm not going to argue with the ref.
Well, another thing for me with VAR is that it wasn't called on the field. The referee didn't call it.
And the linesman didn't call it too, where it's like the linesman could not have had a better view
Right.
of what happened there.
I think they just, because the ball went out of play, they're like, okay, we'll give a corner and we'll give ourselves time to like review it, even though they could have given the PK to
but
review
you
it.
got 60,000 people calling for a penalty.
Yeah.
You have us at home looking at it saying that's a penalty.
Yeah.
The referee's decision, the referee's job is to make that penalty call on the field, like first instinct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it kind of sucks because then you have like the presence of VAR in like your back pocket in case you screw up.
Yeah.
It's like just make your
security
call. Have some guts in the game, man. I think these referees are just gutless. Because like they just don't.
Tell us what you really think.
I do, man. Because okay, here we go. I think with like watching so much sports in my life,
Mm-hmm.
whether it be soccer, hockey, basketball, baseball, football, everything, referees are never held accountable for anything.
Yeah.
They can make any call they want. They can make the wrong call. They can make calls that cost games, cost championships, and they have nothing to show for it.
Yeah.
They have to give no press conference after the game. They have to give no headlines, no excuses, nothing.
Yeah.
Have some balls, man.
Yeah.
That should be a penalty shot call. That should be. I know it was a PK. It came out to be a PK. Call it on the field as you see it.
Yeah.
Because I think these guys are scared.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because they don't want to get the calls wrong, right? Like,
No, and I know VAR is there to check, which is good that that's there now.
yeah.
But I think they're nervous to get the wrong call.
Yeah,
Or to make the wrong call.
I feel like it's more they're more afraid to make a big call, like give a PK and then have it overturned and it not be PK, than not give it and wait for a check.
Yeah.
Because obviously that's kind of like the safer bet.
I think that's why they did
Yeah.
it. They would rather not have a PK overturned.
Yeah, because it looks a lot worse to give a PK and it's like, oh, it actually wasn't a PK. Like, sorry. Whereas, like, all right, ball went out, we can check type thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't know.
Like, I get it from their perspective, but no, I totally agree. Like, and it kind of brings up the whole really late offside flags that are coming.
Oh my god!
You have these plays going on, and it's so true. Like, a player can get hurt, and it's like
That's my biggest concern is players getting hurt.
Yeah, like you have an offside call. Like you have a player 7 yards offside, totally clear. Linesman's great spot, and the play just goes on, and it goes on, and then like an opportunity happens, and like they'll have a chance. They'll go out for a goal kick, and then the linesman reads the play. It's like, why are you waiting so long?
Yeah,
that drives me nuts. Oh, they let the play out. It might be a goal. He was offside.
Like, you knew he was offside, and like commentators even say it. Like,
before VAR, when the refs were making offside calls, I know there was some that was like off, but they were right like 99.9% of the time on their offsides.
Every call
on like the fastest paced stuff.
Yeah,
we know that they know.
We know
that it's offside.
Yeah,
like we know, you know. So just like make the call.
And like the only voice of reason coming in my head now is saying how hard these referees do have it as a job.
Oh, it's incredibly hard, right?
Like we're expecting perfection. We demand perfection. Again, this is why VAR is here. But then when VAR screws it up, still
crazy.
It's like
why is it here?
Yeah. It's like, why is it here?
The rules are so unclear that VAR gets it wrong.
That's why I'm saying, like, are we even better off with having VAR not there, or like, I don't know, putting. Like, what if they put like a cap on like how many VAR checks they can do in a game or something like that? Or like,
yeah, it's tough.
Like, honestly. I mean, in like North American sports now, they have like coaches challenges.
Yeah.
So it's like, instead of having a VAR check, have like a coaches challenge instead, or something like that. So that it's not every play that goes to VAR now, because then you're taking away just like the rawness of the game.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, like, obviously, if it's like a cut and dry, yes, this is a no goal, this is a penalty, whatever, then like, it shouldn't have to go to VAR because like it is so cut and dry. But then like if you do it 4 times in a game or something, let's say, which is like obviously really dramatic, and I don't think that's ever really happened.
Yeah.
But if you go to for like every single play, then like why even have a referee on the field?
Yeah.
Why don't you just like self-referee the game?
Yeah.
And then just have a VAR check go on?
Yeah.
Like it I don't know. It takes away from the game, I think. Like, obviously at our level of play, we've never had VAR obviously involved in how we've played. And it's probably worked for and against us many, many times.
Yeah.
I mean, I dove so many times in the box to get penalties. And like, you know, oh, that's a handball. Referee, oh, okay, handball.
Yeah.
And then like, whatever. But at this level, and with so much invested in the game, and it's like, you think that your team's going to come away with like a 1-1 draw against United in like a huge match, and it goes to VAR. Referee doesn't even call it on the field. Clearly penalty, but referee didn't even call it.
Yeah.
If VAR wasn't involved, there's no penalty in this game now.
Yeah.
And now the game finishes 1, or the game, you know, it did finish 2-1. But you know what I'm saying? Like, the opportunity for the game, for the draw, whenever be there.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably going to be one of those things. It's going to be a never-ending debate. We'll see what happens. I mean, I think if they can get to a point where they have to clear up the handball rule, otherwise everyone's going to lose it. If they can make the offside calls quicker and like more real time, I think that'll help a lot, because then you don't have to go and review a play when it's offside, right? And that'll save a lot. And then it's really just left to the PK's calls, which I think are still going to be really big, but you know, they're going to be big whether you have VAR or not. At least this gives us more of a chance for them to be right, but we'll see, because then it is a little more, I guess you could say, frustrating, where you have VAR and then PKs are giving and you still don't understand why it's given.
Right.
That's where it's questionable. I mean, if back then when you didn't have VAR and you had a PK call and it's like the ref like honestly didn't see that, but like it's only because the ref didn't see that. We have an entire team in the back room looking at a play,
and they're like,
still goes away. That
we're all seeing the same thing. Like, what are they doing?
when everyone now, before we could say like we're looking at it in slow motion, the ref sees in real time, you can understand why it's tough.
Yeah.
Now when you have the entire world able to see
Frame by frame
what they're seeing, and they have to still make the call, and it's like they're seeing the same slow motion still frame we are.
I'm still
and
going,
we're still confused.
Going back to Alexander Arnold, I just remember the pause and like the circle, like rotating around him. Like, it's obviously a handball.
Yeah.
I'm so confused why it's not getting called.
See a million pictures of that
Yeah.
online right now.
That was what, 2 seasons ago, we think?
I'm gonna like,
Yeah, I think it was.
I'm gonna,
2
like-
seasons
So like
ago.
that's clearly 2 seasons ago. These issues were arising,
Yeah.
and they haven't been solved yet.
I'm still like, look, like what?
Joe's just pulling up the picture here.
Like, like, oh,
Alexander-
this is the picture. Like, this is the one. Like, it's obviously hitting his forearm.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Alexander Arnold, outstretched arm, no PK, and the ball was too like you can't even. Make
Yeah,
an
the ball
argument.
was like
the ball
super.
was
The
quick.
ball was very.
Ball was
far away.
crossed in from like 20 yards away, came into him, and
Yeah.
okay.
Anyways, I was gonna say, with all that being said,
All that being said, we have the PK.
we have the PK, and clearly
More drama.
Clearly, David Moyes wasn't watching the Euro final that took place
Apparently
earlier
not.
this summer,
Yeah.
because he brings on, I don't know, 35-year-old Mark Noble,
Yeah,
cold.
Mhm.
completely cold.
He brings him on off the bench, puts him in the PK role.
To take the PK,
And he
makes a
misses.
sub.
Did you guys not learn anything from the Euros?
Yeah. I don't think I've seen it work.
Never seen it work.
I've only seen it. It's not even like a good comparison, but I've seen it happen before in hockey. Like if you bring in a goalie or something, like you bring a goalie in off the bench, like for a shootout,
Yeah,
Yeah,
bringing a
I've seen
goalie
that.
makes sense.
because they strategize, right?
Yeah,
They might know.
it's
like,
more
I mean,
like head
I've
game,
seen.
yeah.
I think Chelsea might. Well, Chelsea just did it with Kepa and Mendy. I think it was FA Cup
Yeah.
last season.
Well, I know. They did Newcastle, or who was Netherlands did it with Cruel.
Yeah,
That was sweet, and he saved like 3 PKs.
Yeah. So I mean, if a goalie standpoint, it kind of makes sense, but it's like
Player's tough.
you can put a defender out there to go take a PK and they could score. Like it's
Yeah.
literally, obviously PKs take skill.
Yep.
Clearly, there's some guys around this table that have scored more PKs than others.
Mhm.
But a cold player.
But I'm saying coming off the bench
Yeah.
and putting someone in cold,
Yeah.
I never understood that, man. Like,
No.
oh boy. And I feel
Yeah.
bad for, centering out the guys from the Euro because, like, I don't know if it wasn't their call. Clearly David Moyes and Mark Noble are close because like Noble's been the captain of West Ham for years now, even before David Moyes was there.
Yep.
Maybe he was in his ear. Maybe this great idea came from some other source. I have no idea. But there was guys that were willing and able to take a PK in that situation.
Yeah.
Guys that have played 90 minutes
Yeah.
in this grueling game. This was a game was back and forth up until
Yeah.
that 89th minute.
Yeah.
It could have been anyone's game. And then you're going to bring in somebody cold off the bench who hasn't played a second on the field yet.
Run
And takes a bad shot too, man.
Well,
it was a
'cause-
bad PK.
I mean,
Yeah.
PKs are. There's enough pressure as it is.
Right.
One, you're cold, so you have nothing. Like you have no idea of like the pace of the game, which actually matters.
Oh, huge.
It matters.
Actually, being in
and
the
then
game matters.
You
when you're taking-
you go on. You're like you have to score. I mean, if you're a player
Oh,
on the
yeah.
field, you're like, okay, I'm gonna take the bird. If you like, it's just different when you're coming on. It's like no,
That's a good
you're
point.
on to take the PK. You have to score.
That's such a good
Like, there's leeway a little bit more if you're on the field. You're like, I'm gonna be the one to take this, and like you miss, like, oh, unlucky. Especially if it's a good shot. But if you come on to take a PK specifically and you don't score, it's bad. And
That's
that added
hilarious.
pressure probably
Yeah.
gets you.
Don't understand why. Like you said, in the Euros, you had all these players come on cold and take PKs, and they all missed.
Oh yeah,
You-
like if you're Lingard and you're Sancho and you come on in the Euro Cup final, like you have to score.
Yeah. You have 10 guys out there. There's a few that you could argue. I think they want to take it. You know what I mean? Like I don't understand why. And maybe it was Noble's decision. We don't know. But even if you're the coach, I don't know why you would put a player in that position where.
No.
If I was on the
If
field,
I was the
I've
coach,
never
I'd be,
seen
if
that
I was the
before.
coach and the player wants to be like, no.
yeah. If I was on the
No,
field
no.
as a player, I'd be so pissed at that.
Yeah.
I guess I imagine like going through this like dogfight for 90 minutes and bring someone else on to take a PK for you that hasn't done anything.
Yeah, like
Oh, yeah.
that. I've never seen. Honestly, I've watched EPL for years and I've never seen that.
The first time I really saw it was probably the Euro Cup
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
final.
Yeah,
That I can honestly remember. I
Yeah.
mean, clearly it might have happened. Like we just don't know.
But that was the
But-
first time I saw it.
I mean, to do that on the biggest stage, Southgate, that's a fireable offense in my mind.
yeah.
I don't think this right here is not a fireable offense because the stakes aren't as high.
No.
But it's just a goofy move.
Yeah.
I don't know why Moyes would do that. I mean, I don't know. I would love to be in the press conference room after that match and ask that first question.
Yeah.
Like, hey, what were you doing?
Yeah.
What
and
was that?
it's like what Joe said. Like, even if a player comes up to you and like, oh, I want to take it. Like,
You're a coach. You're like, you haven't played.
yeah, like it does
You've
not.
You've been
help.
sitting down for an hour and a half.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So De Gea makes the save. Man U gets the win. Needless to say, and De Gea gets all the glory.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
can't. I'm still shocked by that.
It was a nice save too. I mean,
Nice
well, the
save.
shot
it,
wasn't
it
that
wasn't
good.
like it wasn't in the corner, but the way he shot it, it was good for De Gea to like get his hand up in the right
Yeah.
spot. That
You
was
put
it
it
was a nice
kind
save.
of. My dad used to always say, like in the goalie's wheelhouse. You put it like 3 feet off the ground
Yeah,
and like just to the side.
yeah.
Like it wasn't like like you said, it wasn't in the corner. It wasn't like along the ground or top cheese. It was like
Mm-hmm.
mid, like belly level.
Yeah,
Like for diving, it's just like you could have just fallen over and made
Yeah.
the save there.
Yeah,
He put some pace on it, like you
Yeah.
have to. But
yeah.
man, that was a bad effort.
Yeah,
Last match, Chelsea Spurs, 3-0 Chelsea. Let's go.
yeah,
Son was back in the game for this one. We were talking about it last time. We didn't know if he was going to return because he was battling an injury, but he came back and his presence wasn't really that noticeable.
yeah.
I missed the first little bit of this game, but then we watched the highlights again, and it literally jumped from the first minute to the 30th minute in the highlight pack. So clearly, I didn't miss much. Chelsea, though, I think were in more control of the match. I mean, we talked about it at the beginning of the episode, beginning of the podcast. Sorry, back in episode 1, that we thought Spurs might be our breakout team.
Yeah.
And when I know their first game was against Man City, right? They came with the win.
Yeah, they came out with a win against City.
Yeah, that might have been. I don't want to say it was like early judgment on them,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously it's not early judgment on City because look what they've done since
Yeah.
from that game. It wasn't like panic mode for either side.
Right.
But when you do see Tottenham go against teams with more depth and
Yeah.
teams that have more like superstar players, let's say, like players that excel,
Yeah.
I think they get really outclassed
Yeah.
and outmatched.
Mm-hmm.
This game in particular, it was a pretty big like midfield battle for the most part, and you could just see Jorginho and Havertz,
Mm-hmm.
Kovacic even like just kind of outplaying
Yeah.
the opposition, and another quiet game from Harry Kane.
Yeah. Just couldn't really get into it. Didn't create a lot of chances, obviously, from what we saw.
You put all those things together, and you're not going to win a game.
Yeah.
You're not going to come away with a positive result.
Yeah, and obviously starting to question, how well Spurs are going to do. We'll see. I mean, if they keep struggling against the top teams, then they're going to struggle to make Champions League, obviously. And with all the drama around Kane, and maybe getting the sense that he doesn't really want to be there, maybe, and he was looking for a big move. It's like,
Yeah.
We're still waiting for him to show up.
yeah.
I mean, it's tough. Like, it's with anything. I don't know what his conversations were. He can say like, "Oh, I want to be there," but if he's not 100% there, if he kind of has like an eye not on the club, it's very hard to play to your full potential.
Yeah.
Even if you want to, it's very tough if you don't see yourself there.
Yeah.
Like long term, it's very tough. If you kind of already gotten the sense you want to leave,
yeah.
you
Yeah,
can. It's tough.
You don't even see yourself there next season. Maybe you want to go somewhere else. It's like,
What are you gonna do?
you're not going to give 100%.
No.
I can't see it.
Yeah.
Really.
That's
Very
like
tough.
that's your
Even
captain, though,
subconsciously.
man. I mean, Lloris is the captain, but Kane is captain material.
Yeah, is your guy.
So it's like, what does that show to your team, to your teammates? that's kind of a shitty attitude.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're a professional. Like you're the captain of England.
Yeah.
Like you should have more pride in yourself.
Yeah.
And like, it's not like he chose to go to Tottenham. Like he was at Tottenham for years.
Yeah.
He's been, I don't think he was part of the youth academy. I think he might have been someone else.
Yeah,
I don't
I'm
know.
not totally sure. I
don't know. But, he's been there long enough that he's obviously like their probably best player in their history.
Yeah.
Arguably going to be one of the best strikers to ever play in England or play for England.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you got to still, put yourself out there and give it your all to win. And I know he's having a tough time. I know we talked about our last episode about not getting the service.
Yeah.
Which is obviously very frustrating as a striker. I know from personal experiences with that. Because you just run around and you do give it your all. And like if you don't get the ball, you don't get the ball.
Yeah. You're just not in the game, but it's not entirely on you.
If you're
in the game.
And like the difference that I've seen here is that so the way that Kane plays, obviously he comes back for the ball a lot to collect because he does try and use his size and his skill to dish the ball out to the wings or hold the play up a little bit.
Yeah.
And in a similar sense, Lukaku does the same thing. But Lukaku also makes more advancing runs, I think, than Kane does.
Yeah.
And he tries to put himself more in like a solo on net like situation.
Yeah.
Like where he gets the ball played to him like through the box or something or through the 18 or tries to make a run to play onto the ball. And this game in particular, in almost every game that I've watched since he's been there back at Chelsea, when he doesn't get played the ball, he gets so pissed.
Yeah.
It kind of looks bad from, I guess, his attitude standpoint or something. Like the way it depends the way you look at it.
Yeah.
I look at it as him being like demanding the ball.
Yeah.
He's a striker. He's a goal scorer. It's what he wants to do. It's what he's there to do. It's what he's getting paid to do.
Yeah.
He's making that run. You play in the ball. He's getting an open space. You play in the ball. And he's like throwing his hands up in the air a little bit. And he's putting his hands at his side and like rubbing his face and kind of getting pissed. And like he's trying like even tells players, he's like pointing at his feet, like play me the ball here, play me the ball here.
Yeah.
Like, he just wants it all the time, and I love that from him.
Yeah.
I don't see Kane doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's just like kind of going around and, he's taking his chances when they come. But back to that, it's kind of similar to Ronaldo. I mean, Ronaldo might not show it as much, especially with, him having the career he's had. Now he's back at United, probably like mentoring a lot of players. But like you can, like they just want the ball. And it's like they're going to go it and they're going to like rip through defenders if they have to and like get a goal, right? Where you just don't get that sense. At least I don't from Kane sometimes, especially now.
Yeah. And like I said, it comes back to how bad does he want to be there? If he has one foot out the door, he's not really going to care. Like, I'm not going to get upset. I'm not going to show this grit. I'm not going to get angry about players because I don't really want to be here.
So
and you can say all the right things, but like it shows when you're passionate about where you're at. Like Lukaku, you can tell like he wants to be at Chelsea and he wants to score for Chelsea. We could be wrong. He could really want to be at Tottenham. I don't know what the conversations were behind like closed doors, but it'll show up on the field if he does want to be there.
Well, he's there for almost 3 more months at least.
Yeah.
If he was to leave in January, which I don't see that big of a transfer happening for him.
Yeah.
Like a mid-season transfer that large is kind of rare, I think.
Yeah.
So he's there for at least 3 more months.
Yeah.
Plus any time after that. So if he's already doing this now.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
like that's just, I can't get behind that.
I think I heard it before. If a player wants to leave, if you're a club, you have to let them leave. Otherwise, you're just like, they're unhappy. They're just going to like diminish in value and they're not going to contribute to the club. It's going to be like
well, that's happening right now.
Yeah.
I know. As much as they love Kane, they want to keep him and he's their golden boy. If he wants to leave, you have to let him leave. You just have to. And you just have to rebuild.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Tottenham can't catch a break,
happens.
man.
Yeah.
All the quality players they've had in the past that have let go or like
can you imagine if they still had
leave prematurely on transfers and stuff?
Bale, Modric, Walker, Kane, if in his prime. Well, he's still in his prime, but when he was actually playing well, like really well. Can you imagine?
They would be a top club.
They would be in
but
chains.
isn't Bale? Oh no, Bale was on loan.
No, just on loan.
Yeah, I think it was loan to buy, and then they didn't pay it. I think Tottenham's pretty cheap. Like they don't spend much money.
Yeah,
They have a good farm system. They have a good youth academy, but they just don't spend money.
I mean, it's kind of like how Arsenal was years ago. They're just the fourth, fifth place team that's just run well. They make a profit. They don't spend a lot of big money. They're just a well-run club, but that doesn't always translate to trophies. But if they go down the same route as Arsenal, where they're like, oh, we want to make all these changes to win trophies, and now they're tanking, it's like, you got to be careful if you're going to go that route. But it does start with, letting these players leave and, getting money. But they did do that with Bale, I think. When they sold Bale, they bought all those players, and they just didn't pan out. So you just need you need to find good players to replace them.
Yeah, tons of factors, a lot easier to say than get done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyways, so this game, 3-0 for Chelsea. Pretty convincing at the end of the day.
Yep.
They scored 3 very different goals.
Say the least.
Thiago Silva at the header. N'Golo Kante getting his first goal in over 2 seasons.
Yep.
And Antonio Rudiger. I mean, this is kind of, again, like showing Chelsea's depth.
Yep.
Like, Lukaku did have some quality chances. I mean, Lloris is obviously world-class goalie, and he made some pretty nice saves on Lukaku and even Alonso when he got forward. But, I mean, when you can have 2 of your center backs and N'Golo Kante scoring for you and still putting up positive results,
yeah,
I mean, you can't really ask for anything better than that.
No, definitely showing their diversity all around the pitch. And good to see Kante scoring. It's been a while. 2019 against Man City. Last goal he scored, but a little fist pump there.
just
Kante
chill,
Kante.
the most chill Selly ever.
Yeah,
and like I said here, I mean, obviously it was like not the greatest goal, like it was a deflection, but if he scored like a sick banger, maybe the smile would have been a little bit bigger. That's possible, but
yeah,
it would have been chill.
I think the fans would love it if Conte scores a goal and he goes and runs to the fans and does an actual celebration.
Like a hold knee slide.
Yeah.
I mean, even when they won Champions League, he got his medal, shook the hand, they just touch a trophy. He just so chill, so humble, just does his job on the field, goes to the office, comes home.
He's like a surgeon in the operating room.
Yeah,
just cool as a cucumber. I've been here before. I've done this before, guys. Don't worry, this is my job. Don't get too excited, all right? This is what I do for a living.
Yeah. What Balotelli said about not celebrating because about the whole milk thing and a milkman doesn't celebrate when he delivers milk because that's his job. And then Balotelli took off his shirt and did the hardest celebration in
Why always
the
me?
last decade. Yeah, I mean that's what Conte does. He's just there to do his job.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't really celebrate. He's just happy. He's just happy to be there, and it's if he gets a goal, it's extra.
Yeah,
great to see. Yeah.
Arsenal winners again against Burnley.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, moving up.
It's 2 in a row.
Double
Brighton getting a positive result against Leicester. Another not expected match result.
Yeah,
they're sitting well right now.
Yeah, I know.
4 wins, 1 loss.
I know. We gotta start talking about Brighton on the show.
Here we go.
Only 1 point back from the top 3. Chelsea, Liverpool, United, all square on 13 points. It was funny. The commentators were actually saying how it was literally the 88th minute, and the game was still 2-0 for Chelsea. And the commentator said if Chelsea snag 1 more goal, then they will equal the results that Liverpool has put out every single game this season as well. So I think it was 1-0, 1-0 or something.
Yeah.
And then they tied. And then Liverpool won 3-0. And then Chelsea won 3-0. And then Liverpool just won 3-0 again this weekend. So if Chelsea scored another goal, then they'll be level on points, level on goals, level on results.
Everything.
Then Rudiger scores.
Yeah.
Make it on the Supernatural podcast.
Oh,
want to go into that one.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Check that one out.
Nicholas Flamel.
Ooh.
Did you know, not to go off too far footy, but you know Nicholas Flamel was a real person?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a philosopher or something.
Yeah, he made there's said that he's supposed to be immortal, and he made the Philosopher's Stone. It's a real story.
That's like John Locke from Lost.
Really?
Yeah, John Locke's an actual person too.
Crazy.
What did he do?
He's a philosophizer.
No,
did he end up on an island?
No.
Coming to a monster that shows you your biggest fear.
Oh, no, he didn't do that.
Okay.
Talking about the. Oh, never mind. I'll talk about that later. But yeah, we gotta get more Brighton talk on this pod. I mean,
Yeah.
4 wins, 1 loss, only a +3 in goal differential. So clearly they're kind of, sitting amongst giants when it comes to the likes of Chelsea, Liverpool,
Yeah.
and then the 2 Manchester clubs, United and City.
Yeah.
And even Everton's kind of holding their own too.
Yeah, sitting there in
Very
6th.
competitive.
I mean, they got stomped this last game, but
Yeah.
against Villa, but no, they're holding their own there too with 10 points, and then slowly creeping from behind. Arsenal 6 points, 2 wins in a row. They're trying to make that -7 look a little more inviting.
Yeah.
Leicester's having a rough run.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be a nice little shake up at the top of the table.
Yeah.
Clearly, like the outlier last year was West Ham, I think, being so high as they were.
Yeah.
Like we're kind of accustomed now to seeing Leicester up there, and even Tottenham,
Mm-hmm.
around the top 5, top 4. But no, it's always good to see some new blood up there, man. Brighton, Everton getting maybe into a Europa League spot or even Champions League if they keep it up. Brentford, newly promoted this season, they're sitting there in top 10.
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest disappointments this season, though, have got to be Wolves in 16th.
Yeah. I mean, no Nuno. That's tough.
Yeah, like two seasons ago when they finally came back into the Premier League, they were on fire.
Yeah.
With their newly appointed manager and, the influx of Portuguese players.
Yeah.
And then even like last season, towards the tail end of it, they were kind of starting to fall off a little bit. I think they finished maybe outside the top 10, if I believe.
Yeah.
Probably like 12, 13. I can't totally remember. But for the quality that they have on their side, because they have a pretty good balance too.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they've underachieved this year a little bit, underperformed. A team like Crystal Palace, I always like to kind of see them play pretty well because I'm a big Wilfred Zaha fan.
Yeah.
We talked before about how he, if his attitude or some things might have swung differently earlier on in his career, we might be seeing him play on one of the top sides. But to stay at Crystal Palace, whether he wants to or not, he still does give it his all.
Yeah. Yeah, he always shows up every game, right? And he's obviously there to play for the club.
And having Patrick Vieira appointed there and trying to turn that team around and give them a new identity and a new culture in the team, hasn't worked out for them completely. They did have the big win against Tottenham last weekend, but other than that, 2 draws, 2 losses, one victory.
Yeah, it's looking rough right now.
And then lowly Norwich at the bottom.
Yeah, just 5 losses, -12. It's looking very tough right now. I mean, they need to get some momentum, or it's just going to be a long road.
Mm-hmm.
We got
some big games next weekend, boys.
We got some very big games. Chelsea City. 2 teams we've talked about that are going to finish top 2. Who wins, I think, is still going to be up for debate.
I think City have to win this game.
Yeah, I do think it's, I think every game is obviously a must win, but there's going to be a big, momentum shifter. Man City can win.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, if Chelsea comes away with the victory, that's going to pull 6 points ahead right away.
Yeah,
That's
very tough.
I mean, 2 wins above probably your next biggest rival or competitor.
Yeah,
That's massive.
It is.
When it comes to even the late end game of the season.
Yeah, but you do have to know. I mean, City had a similar start. I mean, it was actually worse than it was now last season, and then they're up and down, whatnot. December came, and then City go on their massive win streak and win the title by a long shot, right? So
I mean,
you never know what can happen.
But that year, Liverpool struggled last year.
I was just going to say,
United was not the team there this year, and Chelsea with Tuchel is they could literally go on who knows if they go unbeaten, but they had solid.
Yeah, City last year had no running mate with them.
Yeah, not really.
Once,
that is true.
Once COVID was established and COVID was a sure thing, and we're still going to play through with having COVID. I think City was the only team that really excelled after that.
Yep.
Obviously, like Joe just said, Liverpool, tons of injury bugs last year. United was just inconsistent, and then Chelsea did a manager change mid-season.
Yeah,
and for the better.
Yeah,
clearly. But by the time that they did make that change with Lampard out and Tuchel in, and I was already kind of said and done. with their efforts for the season, and City just took away and took it and ran away with the title last year. But yeah, way more competitive this season so far. You love to see it.
Yeah.
That's the early game on Saturday, 7:30. I'll definitely be up by that one.
Yeah.
For that one.
Don't text me. Don't text anything right away. I won't be up that early.
Oh, it says there's 2 7:30 games.
Oh man.
Don't see that very often.
Ooh, United and Villa also at 7:30 on Saturday, the 25th. That's weird to see that. And then another London derby. This is the big one though. Arsenal Tottenham. This is like,
is it a big game?
Well, I mean, for these ones, yeah, it's like, Arsenal, they got their wins here and there. Tottenham got their wins here and there, but they could lose the rest of the season. But if you beat Tottenham or you beat Arsenal,
yeah,
the season was a success.
If Arsenal wins this game, that could be like the momentum they need.
That could be a swinger.
Yeah,
that's what they need. So hopefully, and I forget who talked about it. When Everton was struggling and they played Liverpool, but Everton just showed like no grit. And I think it was I forget who it was like livid. It's like you have to know what game, like when he was saying back in his day, it didn't matter where Everton was in the table, it didn't matter where Liverpool was in the table. When Everton played Liverpool, it was just like its own game on its own.
The Merseyside derby.
It was just a scrap, no matter how each of them was doing in the season. So hopefully these Arsenal new players kind of bring that to this game.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, so that's your weekend schedule for next week. Obviously, there's other games going on. Tune into any game you want. 4 games at 10 a.m. on Saturday, and then 2 games on Sunday, and then the one Monday late game is Crystal Palace and Brighton. Actually, that might be a good game too. Actually, I might tune into that one as well. Boys, anything else to add?
No, that's everything.
All right.
Exciting week ahead.
Let's get this one going. Boys, everyone, thank you for tuning into the podcast. Thank you for listening. You can follow us on Twitter at @footy_fans. That's footy_PHANS. Our podcast is also posted up on YouTube. You can find that also at Footy Fans. Everyone, we're trying to get our word out there, our name out there. Tell your mom, tell your dad, tell your brother, tell your dog. Footy Fans. Give us a follow. That's our weekend wrap for the EPL and for Champions League. We will be back next week recapping all of the week's action.
Ciao, everybody. Take care, everybody.
Ciao.